Yesterday, this chud right here, Craig the Chud, he entered the find out stage. When I saw this was from Provo, Utah, I wasn't surprised in the slightest bit. In order to talk about this, I want to talk a little bit about me. Uh-oh, everybody. It's a Meg episode. But I think in order for me to put into context of what I'm about to say, it's important I tell you where I'm from. I was born about an hour and a half south of Provo, in a small coal mining town called Price. My grandfather, who's a personal hero of mine, was a senator for over 30 years, and he was a Democrat in Utah. In order to understand that, you have to understand that in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, coal miners were actually concerned about safety. They were concerned about their pay, and they were concerned about their union. Now, I bring this up to just show how much the culture in my small town, it's an hour and a half away from Provo, just how much that culture has changed in, 10, 15, 20 years. The coal miners in the 70s, 80s, 90s, they had to be politically knowledgeable. They had to be politically active so that the big corporations wouldn't screw them over. The next generation was not nearly as savvy. I don't know if it was a hangover from like Generation X, not giving a shit, or millennials just thinking everything was going to turn out fine. But they were not politically as active. They were not politically as knowledgeable. And I'll even go as far to say in my small town, knowledgeable would be nice. Any of it would be nice, but they are actually low information individuals. You can't carry a conversation with them longer than 15, 20 minutes before they start getting into the conspiracy theories. Hearing them drone on, watching them type out detached rants, you start to realize they're in this collective MAGA fantasy. It's not really real life anymore. My grandpa was a Democratic senator for 30 years. His last year was 2009. And this is what the chief of police, Brandon Scalia, in Price, Utah, posted to his Facebook. And yes, that is the N-word on a public post by the chief of police, Brandon Scalia, in Price, Utah. It's things like this that people who actually grew up in small towns, not like Jason Aldean. I think his town had 180,000 people. I grew up in a town with 5,000 people. And it's stuff like this that makes you understand his dog whistle chud anthem. Try that in a small town. In 2023, in Price, Utah, this chud is put in charge of other people's lives, other people's well-beings. And though he may only see a handful of black people every year, there's only like 4 black people that lived there when I was in Price. Although he may only see a handful of them, this shows you he's already predispositioned. He's already in his mind in a white supremacist mindset that they are less than him and he is better. And that is the last thing you want from a cop. And that is definitely the last thing you want from a small town chud cop. One town over in Wellington, Utah, which is even smaller than Price, I think it's got like 300 people. They put this chud in charge. They made him chief of police. Now, I went to school with Rory, and anybody who talked to him for longer than 10 minutes knows he shouldn't even be made dog catcher. He was a D- student. I thought he was special for a long time. I thought he was touched. I don't know what the correct term is, but I really did. I wouldn't have made him chief of police. Every day he would take to Facebook to type out MAGA talking points and how much he loved Trump and praised Trump and kissed Trump's ass. And talking about that MAGA fantasy, he's a perfect example because in his mind, posting all this crap, pretending you're part of some movement, he thought he could live by the same rules as Trump. So what'd he do? He tried to choke out one of his workers because she wouldn't trade sexual favors with him. She wouldn't let him rape her. So he put her in a chokehold, smacked her ass in front of everyone daily. But in true MAGA fashion, Rory Bradley, stole thousands of dollars from Wellington on top of it all. Wellington's basically a trailer park. I'm surprised they had thousands of dollars to spare. They probably didn't. So once again, ideology over everything else hurts the community. One time a month, if that, I'll open Facebook to see what's going on in my hometown. I immediately regret doing it. I immediately regret it every time. Because the kids of these coal miners from the 70s, 80s, 90s, the children of them, maybe the children of them, the miners, they're not posting about unions. They're not posting about keeping corporations in check. You know what they're posting about? And I shit you not. You know what they're posting about? Hunter Biden's laptop. Hunter Biden's laptop. In this 5,000 population town, they're crying about a guy who does just as much, if not less, meth than half of them. I mean, I'm from there. I think Price, Utah, it was featured on the news when I was a kid because they did so much meth. It's like the meth capital of the world. If Hunter Biden lived there, if Hunter Biden lived in Price, Utah, got himself a Firebird, he could date half the women my age right now. Meth, Firebird, that's all you really need in Price, Utah. Now look, I'm just trying to paint a picture for some of you out there who've never experienced this kind of world, you know. A place that's an hour away from where dead Craig was planning to assassinate the president. I meet Democrats out here, I meet liberals out here, and they'll freak out when they learn that I have guns. But why wouldn't I have guns? You know what I mean? I come from a town where there were two things to do. You could either knock up your girlfriend or you could go shooting guns. And I'm a pretty good shot, so I avoided the first one. Got good at the second one. From my estimation, and this is just guessing, 98% of that population in Price, Utah is there because they never left. They never went anywhere. You compound that situation with like 2 successful careers you can have. If you want to make some money, you can sell drugs or you can go in a dark hole for 12 hours a day. When you come out of that dark hole, when you're a coal miner or when you're in any of these other trades that are demanding physically on you for 10, 12 hours a day, and you get home, there's just no time to read up, to follow facts, to like not take everything at face value. And the Republican Party knows this. The Republican Party's propaganda is so easy to digest, right? The propaganda tells them that their lives suck, not because they're in a hole for 12 hours, doing a job that was perfected 1,000 years ago. That's not why their life sucks, right? The Republican Party tells them that their life sucks because Joe Biden is individually raising gas prices on them. He's flipping it up. All that money's going to Joe Biden. Joe Biden's raising the price of groceries on them, right? And Hunter Biden's laptop is more important to them. What's on that laptop is more important to them than any benefit a union, organized labor could give them. And it sounds like I'm being hyperbolic, like I'm going over the top. But then you remember this is the chief of police. And he's telling them their lives are bad because of what? 2 black families that actually live in Price, Utah? Not that they're being financially raped at every turn, but this. Now look, Provo has 100,000 people, right? So that's more than where I grew up. I mean, it's still less than Jason Aldean's small town. So by Jason Aldean standards, it's still a small town. But I guarantee you dead Craig here, I guarantee his ecosystem, where he gets his news, was very similar, if not exact, to what I'm describing right now. To be so self-unaware that you post on Facebook that you're going to assassinate the President of the United States. To post on Facebook the N-word when you're the chief of police. You have to be in this fantasy where there's no real consequences for that, right? There's no real reason you shouldn't do that. And in this same bubble, there's a reason you should post it because the other chuds cheer you on. You know, you're part of this fantasy with them. You're living it. And in this fantasy, in this world, you actually have right-wing pundits celebrating dead Craig, asking why he should get shot. This is the party of Blue Lives Matter, right? They're asking why someone who points a gun at the FBI should have been shot. Keep them dumb, keep them angry, and give them targets. This is the goal of the fascists. This is the goal of the nationalists. And it is indeed the role of your 2023 Republican National Party. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like the video. We got live content. We got short content. I did make a shirt. If you want to try to support the channel. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an Etsy mom. The shirt's in the comments below. And yeah, go ahead. Hit me a comment. Ask me questions. What happened to that guy who said I lived in my mom's basement? Is he gone? Come back. It's hilarious. Take care of yourselves out there, folks. I don't know. The Chud Report.